Hello everyone and welcome to the video. Hope everyone is well. And in this video we're going to be talking about music from Wales. Oh yes, music from Wales, boy. Oh no, this is music from Wales. See, this is not music from Scotland or music from England. This is music from Wales. BBC Radio Wales. Jesus, Rod Gilbert impersonations already. I'm Rod Gilbert and I'm on BBC Radio Wales every Saturday. Good morning, Mrs. Evans. So we're going to be looking at music from Wales over the last, give or take, 4 or 5 decades. So I've got bugger all from the 1950s regarding Welsh rock or music. So we'll start with the mid to late 1960s, and the first band we're going to talk about is Amen Corner. This is the single Bend Me, Shape Me, which is like Amen Corner, sort of like late 1960s psychedelic pop rock led by Andy Fairweather Low. Great little pop song. This song was also covered by American band called The American Breed. I don't know, some American band cover this song, and it's not as good as this version. Not as good as this version at all. No. So Amen Corner. Like I said, great little 60s psychedelic rock band. I've heard the best of, which is, really good 60s rock. And I think they had this hit, Bend Me, Shape Me, and they had If Paradise Was Half As Nice. So they weren't really a really big, commercially successful band, but they had a couple of hits. And of course, Andy Fairweather went on to do a lot of solo stuff and a lot of session musician work. And he's worked with I think he's worked with Clapton quite a few times, and he's a really, really, really good guitarist. He's very, very, very underrated guitarist. He is very underrated. Because I remember seeing him at the Paul Weller gig in Cardiff a couple of years ago, 2015, 2016. Might have been 2014. I can't remember. The years flash by now, don't they? So that's the first time I heard of him, and I didn't really know him that well. But he's really good, and I recommend getting the best of him for sure. Really good guitar work. Just brilliant. So Amen Corner. Like I said, I don't know too much about him, so I can't give you really any more information than that, really. So it's going well, isn't it? So So the next person we're going to talk about, another gem of a guitarist, Dave Edmunds. Now, Dave Edmunds, again, another underrated guitarist that doesn't get enough credit. He just doesn't get enough credit at all. You read these 100 greatest guitarists, it's Clapton, Page, Clapton, Page, Clapton, Page, Clapton, Page, Clapton, 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 clap round the hero. You know, it's the same fucking guitarist all the time. You know, they never mention Dave Edmunds in these 100 greatest guitar players, and I can't understand why. Because his guitar work is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal it is. And this combination of some of his greatest is just brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Dave Edmunds started out as in a band called Love Sculpture, which again, mid to late 60s psychedelic rock with a hard rock twist. Oh yes. So if you listen to songs like Sabre Dance and Farandole, those songs are phenomenally fast, incredibly fast for its time. You listen to those two songs, it sounds like speed metal. It does, it sounds like speed metal from the mid to late 80s. Just absolutely incredible. But granted, I heard the producer engineer sped up the song, but at the end of the day, they just absolutely completely ahead of their time of songs. Because he recorded those songs in 1968, 69, and they just sound completely out of time. They just do. They just absolutely do. Just absolutely incredible. Just incredible. And he never did, after Love Sculpture, explore more of that hard rock style, which is a shame because he's so phenomenally good. You know, absolutely, just like I said, absolutely incredible. So yeah, Love Sculpture recorded, I think it was 2 albums and 2 or 3 singles, and of course Dave Edmunds went solo. And if you don't know any Dave Edmunds songs, you're bound to have heard of I Hear You Knocking, which went to #1 in the summer, I think it was the summer of 1970 over here in Britain, went to #1. And of course, he went on to produce as well. And he produced a lot of great albums in Rockfield Studios. Rockfield Studios, of course, based outside Monmouth. Rockfield, the village outside Monmouth. And that place has just got such a varied, rich, magical history. You know, a lot of famous bands have recorded in Rockfield. You name them, they recorded there. Queen recorded there. Black Sabbath recorded there with Ronnie James Dio on vocals. Adam and the Ants recorded Kings of the Wild Frontier there. Echo and the Bunnymen recorded there. Hawkwind recorded there. I could just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. You know, absolutely incredible history, Rockfield, just incredible. And there's also a book based on Rockfield Studios. I forgot the name of the bloody book, but there's a book on Rockfield Studios. And a couple of years ago, there was a Rockfield exhibit in Monmouth in the Nelson Museum, and just incredible it was. Incredible. You know, if you like your music, you know, you would have loved it. You would have absolutely loved it, because I loved it. I think I went about 3 or 4 times. And unfortunately, they didn't keep it permanently on in the museum, which is a shame because it was so good, just incredible. Some of the equipment that they had in there, and they also had a book as well of like people that had been the bands that had been to Rockfield seeing their signatures, and I seen the Gallagher brothers' signatures because Oasis recorded in Rockfield as well. Signature from Ronnie James Dio. Oh, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Dave Edmunds was the first in producers of Rockfield, and he produced the Flamin' Groovies 1976 album. He also recorded an album with Brinsley Schwartz there, Nick Lowe's pub rock band. He also recorded Arthur Brown's Kingdom Come album, Journey, phenomenally brilliant album, ahead of its time, about 8 years ahead of its time. That album is one of the first albums to use a drum machine. So, and it was made in 1973. Completely ahead of its time. So yeah, Dave Edmunds, just incredibly versatile performer. He does such great cover versions of other people's songs that you forget it's a cover version. Because Dave Edmunds does a lot of cover versions of other people's songs, and Girls Talk, which is Elvis Costello's song, does it better than Elvis Costello. Queen of Heart, just brilliant. Eddie Cochran influenced rock and roll, just absolutely brilliant. And what can I say more about Dave Edmunds? Just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Dave Edmunds, brilliant. And on the next person we're going to talk about is John Cale. Good old John Cale. From Carmarthenshire, boyo. Carmarthenshire. He's from Carmarthenshire, see? He's from Carmarthenshire, boyo. Oh, yes, he's from Carmarthenshire, see? Yes, Carmarthenshire. Yeah. So yeah, John Cale. I mean, what can we say about John Cale? Just, one of the greatest musicians and one of the most influential musicians that's ever lived. His style is just in another different plane on its own, really. His introduction to drone in rock music is just absolutely brilliant. Part of one of the most influential bands of all time. Can you name the band? No? You can't name the band? The Velvet Underground. One of the most influential bands of all time, the Velvet Underground. And there is John Cale. That is John Cale. Lou Reed, Sterling Morrison, Maureen Tucker, and Nico. I am Nico. My name is Nico, and I'm a German model, and I like to take the smack. Give me the smack now. I want the smack now. Give me the smack now. Oh, poor Nico. Rest in peace. So yeah, part of the Velvet Underground, and I mean, what can we say about the Velvet Underground? You know, apart from they're the most influential band, one of the most influential bands of all time, yada 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 yada. I remember the first time I heard the Velvet Underground. That was about 17. In college. Probably was in college or whatever I was bloody doing at the time. And I heard Venus in Furs. And I thought, bloody hell. Well, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Just, that viola is what stuck out with that particular song. That John Cale's viola, it does sound like, it does sound like somebody's getting whipped, which was probably the desired effect of the song, because Venus in Furs, it's about S&M, isn't it? So, and I just thought, wow, just the viola, and such a weird, mystical sound. Such a weird, dirty sound, and yet beautifully elegant at the same time. It's like that's how it felt to me. Dirty, and yet really sophisticated and elegant at the same time. The sound. And I thought, I need to buy this album. I need to buy this, and I bought it on CD. And I couldn't, and I thought, oh, just absolutely brilliant. Just brilliant album. I mean, all the great songs on there. Sunday Morning, I'm waiting for the man. Oh, yeah. I remember Terry from who used to run the record shop in Pontypool. He would always sing. He'd always sing that every time I go in. You go, I'm waiting for the man. $26 in my hand. Up to Lexicon. 125. Hey, why are you doing around here? Running around all these. You think, oh, okay. He'd always sing that. I'm waiting for the man. And of course, Heroin is on you. European Sun. It's just all tomorrow's parties. Just a brilliant album. And Cale, just classically trained musical performer. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant album. I mean, complete antithesis of the hippies. This album's a complete middle finger up to them. At that time, hippie was like, was the hippie movement, and it was like love, power, peace, run around naked in the park, get stoned, and wear flowers in your hair. But the Velvet Underground were like, what the fuck are these guys singing about? What the fuck are these San Francisco people talking? What are they singing? Why are they singing about flowers in their hair? I mean, we're from New York. I mean, we can't wear flowers in there. We're more likely to wear daggers in our hair. Just complete antithesis. Just absolutely complete antithesis. And they were singing about songs. They were singing about drugs, and nobody else was doing. They were singing about heroin. They were singing about S&M. No, pretty much sort of like early, in many ways, sort of like early metal. It could be argued, It could be argued. Big influence, obviously a big influence on punk and all the post-punk musicians, but at times I can hear metal in the Velvet Underground, particularly Sister Ray on the second album, which is John Cale's last album. because he only made 2 albums. Yeah, he only made 2 albums with them. I've heard various stories, but I think Lou Reed wanted to go in a more pop direction, which he eventually would, particularly on the Loaded album. But I think John Cale wanted to stay, he wanted to stay experimental. So I think there was a lot of disagreement there, and I think they had a new manager as well, which I don't think Cale particularly isn't particularly warm to. So they fell out big time, really fell out. So yeah, Sister Ray, as I was saying about Sister Ray, it sounds like it's noisy, very noisy record. Absolutely. 17 minutes of statically noisy punky metal, garage, mental rock and roll. I mean, it starts off quite well. Well, what am I on about? It's a great song. It starts out pretty conventional, organ and 3 chords. And then within the 5 minutes, it just descends into absolute chaos. And I heard one story on that particular recording of that song, Sister Ray. After 5-6 minutes, the engineer was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Because it just descends into absolute noise. There's no melody or nothing. It just descends into absolute noise. And she left. Apparently, the engineer left the studio. He said, "Fuck this! I can't listen to this shit." Because I mean, if I was the engineer, I'd be like, "What is this?" I mean, nowadays, there's a lot of noise in industrial rock, isn't there? It's like, but back then it was like you couldn't label the music. It was like, what is this? What is this? So yeah, John Cale recorded 2 albums. This one and White Light, White Heat. And of course he would go on to a really great lengthy solo career. I got his first album, Vintage Violence. That's a really good twisted classical rock album. Really, 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 really good. And of course I've got this EP, Animal Justice, which is absolutely brilliant. It is. So yeah, the story. There's a great story behind this. Well, well, not great, but it's a bit what the fuck moment. So yeah, this was recorded around time punk. Now I've heard a lot of stories that Cale was not a big fan of punk. I mean, he's produced, punk influenced albums. He produced the Stooges' first album. He's produced Patti Smith's Horses album. He produced Squeeze's first album. So he was not a big fan of punk. I've heard stories about Steve Jones fucking John Cale's wife, like the Sex Pistols, and Glenn Matlock having a ding dong with John Cale's wife. So John Cale was not a big fan. I heard on punk, he was not a big fan. And he was at this one concert, and it was just full of punks. So he was like, "Oh, these punks are out to shock, are they?" So what he did he got a dead chicken, wherever he got from. I don't know, the abattoir or wherever he got the dead chicken from. He got the dead chicken. He got a knife, and he cut its head off and started cutting it up to pieces. And he chucked all the bits into the audience. He chucked all the bits into the audience. And he was like, that. And John Cale was like, is that punk enough for you? And two of the band members quickly were like, fuck this. What's going on here, John? What's John doing? Cutting up an animal and chucking it into the audience. So they quit. So the song on here, Chicken Shit, is about that particular incident. And ironically, it's John Cale's punkiest sounding song. It just, it needs to be heard because it just blows my mind, I tell you. It's like noisy art punk style. Just really, 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 really bizarre. Really bizarre. And what else is on? Yeah, he does a version of Chuck Berry's Memphis, Tennessee. That's quite good. And he's got, is it Hida Garber? That's really good. So yeah, John Cale. You know, just really, really, really good. You know, get a chance, check out his music. It's really good. It's really good stuff. So yeah, that was John Cale. Oh, we're still in the 60s, 70s, aren't we? I tell you what. I'll break it down into two parts. So this will be the first part. So if you got this far, well, I think you deserve a medal. To be honest, I think you do deserve a medal to put up with my incoherent ramblings. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.